The hug lasted for over a minute, and finally she released me. She held both of my hands and looked me straight in the eye. We stood there and she smiled at me. I smiled back, and what appeared to be a tear began to form in her eye. "I have a name for you," she said. "Richard is just too much of a boy's name. How about Trish?" "Okay, sis. You can call me Trish." "Thank you so much for doing this. I love you, Trish." Alice led me out of her room and into the living room, where she had a workout tape in the VCR all ready to go. We worked out for about half an hour to a woman who was clearly doing aerobics that were meant more for women than for men. Afterwards, I felt exhausted. We sat down on the couch together and talked. She told me that she was happy to have a partner to do aerobics with her from now on. I didn't know what to say. From now on was much longer than I had anticipated. Alice then surprised me by curling up next to me. We had always been close, but we very rarely touched. And so far today, she had been physically closer to me than in the past. She pulled her shoes off and cuddled up really close and continued talking. She went on and on about David, her ex-boyfriend, and how cruel he was and how he was so uninterested in her life. We sat there and talked for what seemed like forever. Alice led most of the conversation and talked about stuff that mostly girls talk about. Occasionally, I would bring up things that I liked, such as girls and cars and other things. Whenever I did this, Alice would usually stop talking and begin to look more depressed. So I asked her what was wrong. "Trish," she said, "I really need my sister now. I need you to be my sister. I'm not interested in girls and the other things you're talking about. That's what boys like." "But I am a boy," I exclaimed. Alice began to cry, and I realized what I had done. I rested her head against mine and told her I was sorry. Gradually, she became happy again and talked about things that only girls talk about, which was very hard for me to relate to. Alice described how she and David met, the times they had sex, and all the times they spent together. Then she said something that really shocked me. "I don't ever want you to go out with a guy like David." I almost started laughing but stopped myself. I never in my entire life had ever thought about dating a guy. Instead, I held her close to me and said in a reassuring voice, "I won't." I really had no idea what to say. Alice eventually got up and said, "Come on, let's get you ready for the day." She led me back into the bathroom and asked me to shave my face, which wasn't much of a problem since I didn't have that much facial hair to begin with. In the meantime, Alice had quickly removed all her clothes and was preparing a warm bubble bath. I was a little surprised. Seeing her naked, I quickly faced the door and asked, "Do you want me to wait outside?" "Why would I?" she responded. "It's just us girls in here." As close as Alice and I were, we never saw each other naked. I started to get really embarrassed. "Come on," she exclaimed. "Take your outfit off." She then noticed how concerned I looked and asked, "What's wrong?" "I can't get naked in front of you. It's just wrong." Alice came over and hugged me. In a very reassuring voice while holding me close, she said, "It's okay. You're my little sister, and there's nothing wrong with sisters seeing each other like this." She then looked me straight in the eye and whispered, "So, come on, let's take a bath together." Without saying another word, she began helping me get out of the leotard and tights until I was eventually just as naked as her. I kept telling myself that this wasn't right, but I couldn't formulate the right words to express that to her. Alice then looked at my chest and arms and exclaimed, "Oh my! We forgot to get rid of the rest of your body hair." Just as before, she pumped a large amount of depilatory cream into her hand and gently applied it to any spot on my body that still had hair. After the slight burning, she rinsed everything into the sink and toweled off the rest. Alice then grabbed my hand as the two of us got into the tub and sat down. The water was still warm enough, and without any hesitation, she began bathing the both of us. I was in a small state of shock, so I pretty much remained motionless. Her tub had a portable handheld shower head which she used to wet down my hair. She then got out some shampoo and gave my hair a pretty thorough wash. As she gently massaged my scalp, I realized how really good it felt. The shampoo had a very feminine fragrance. As Alice began rinsing off my hair, she said, "We should get your hair styled." Then she gently pulled my hair back from my ears. "And get your ears pierced too." "No," I exclaimed. "I can't pierce my ears." "Why not?" She responded very confused. "I think you'd look really cute." For those listening to this story, keep in mind it was the year 1985 and boys rarely ever pierced their ears. That was still pretty much something only girls did. "I just don't think that'd be a good idea." "Okay, maybe think about it." We got out of the tub and dried each other off. With a big smile to try and lighten the mood, Alice said, "I am so special to have a sister like you." She brought robes and panties for us to wear and sat me down at her vanity. She stood behind me and we talked and talked. She was like a whole different person. While we talked, she began drying my hair and trimming it. I began to notice that she was giving me a girl's hairstyle. I interrupted in the middle of a story she was telling me about one of her other former boyfriends and said, "If you cut my hair, people will notice it." "It's okay," Alice said. "Everything will be okay, I promise." "Oh, and your hair is a mess too? Maybe I should just give you a little makeover." She quickly started attacking my hair with a brush. After a few minutes, and a lot of wincing from me, she had brushed my hair out and again tied it back into a simple, messy bun. "There we go," she grinned as she made some final adjustments, leaving a strand of hair hanging over my face. "Thanks, sis, but," I said, and started to get up. "Hold on. One more thing." Alice pulled me back down. She attacked my face with a pair of tweezers, and after she plucked some stray hairs around my eyebrows, she put some blush onto my cheeks, along with giving my lips a generous coating of pink lip gloss. "It's not just about looking good. You know, you've got to keep your lips moist or they get chapped. Especially if you sunbathe as much as I do," she continued. I looked in the mirror and saw a pretty girl looking back at me. I couldn't believe it was me. Next, she brought out a white padded bra and put it on me. All this time, we kept talking about different things. She placed some rolled-up nylons in the cups to give the illusion that I had breasts. I started to feel amazingly different. I never knew what it was like to wear women's clothing, but it wasn't uncomfortable. "I have something that will look great on you," she said as she pulled out a pink summer dress. I stood up and she helped me put it on. What was I doing? I was wearing a dress. I'm not gay, but somehow I now looked like a woman. The dress came down to my knees and had small straps that went over my shoulders. I looked in the mirror and again saw a very pretty girl looking back at me. I felt like I wanted to ask that girl out. Alice asked me to wait while she got dressed and then we could do something together. I sat there in front of the mirror and waited. About 2 minutes later, Alice was done dressing. I hadn't even noticed her doing it because I was so caught up in my own appearance. "Okay," she said. "How do I look?" I turned around and she was wearing a blue t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans. She wasn't wearing any makeup and had on an old pair of sneakers. I was shocked. Why was I made up to be so girlish and she wasn't? "Aren't you going to wear a dress too?" I asked. "Dresses aren't for me," she said. "Remember, I'm a tomboy. I hardly ever wear dresses." "But I don't want to wear a dress." "Trish," she said in a calm voice, "I love you, and I want my sister to look the best she can." She walked over to me and looked me in the eyes and held my arms. "Please." I was a little disgusted but decided not to show it. "Okay," I said. She opened up a drawer and pulled out a pair of pink leather ballet slippers. She knelt down, held one of them out and said, "Here, put these on." I slipped my foot in and felt the softness of the slipper as it wrapped around my foot. She slid the other one on and I stood up. The ballet slippers made it feel as if I were walking around with no shoes on at all. "You look beautiful," Alice said. I thanked her, but I wasn't sure how to feel. The dress looked great on me and I really looked like a girl. "Come on, let's watch some television." Before we got back to the living room, Alice showed me how to walk and move around more like a girl. She gave me some lessons on how to speak like a girl too. I sat down on the couch, making sure to pull my dress in before I sat down, and to keep my legs close together. Alice got on the couch and cuddled up really close next to me again. Using the remote, she turned on the television. She turned on an infomercial where several muscular guys were working out. She put down the remote control and started talking. "Aren't they dreamy?" she said. David never looked that good. Apparently, Alice wanted me to comment on these guys, which I found to be repulsive. I said, "I'd rather have a sexy woman." Alice turned the sound down and looked at me. "Trish," she said, "I love you. I know a lot of this is new to you, and I want you to be happy. I always imagined my sister and me doing things like this. You know, just talking, doing things together, sharing things, but—" She paused for a moment. "I was hoping that one of the things we could share together was the value of our relationships. Finding a man is very important to me, and I was hoping that it would be important to you too. If you and I had boyfriends, I really think that we could bond even more." I wanted to scream and shout, but Alice put her finger in front of my mouth to keep me from saying anything. "Trish, please consider it for me. I am asking you to do this. When I said that I wanted a sister, that meant that I wanted you to be female in every way, including who you date. It's very important to me that you find the right relationship. I didn't want you to simply dress as a woman. I wanted you to actually be a woman. I'm not asking you to get a sex change or anything like that, but you've got to understand that I need you in my life. I need you like this so that our lives can be complete. I always felt that you were meant to be my sister. Please do this for me." I shook my head. "I'm not gay," I said. "No, it's not gay for a man and a woman to be together," she said. "It's a beautiful thing, and I want you to experience it. Please do it for me." I couldn't believe what I had gotten myself into. My sister wanted me to dress like a woman and find a boyfriend. "I haven't even dated a girl yet," I said. "I know," she said. "That's why I wanted you to do this before you become attracted to a woman." The two of us remained quiet for the rest of the afternoon. Night came and she changed me back to my male self before Mother got home.